The dog visits his dying owner. What happens next is unbelievable. In a small town, there lived a man named Jack. He was a simple man, living a quiet life with his beloved German Shepherd, Max. The bond they shared was special, a connection that went beyond words. Jack had raised Max since he was a puppy, and over the years, the two had become inseparable. Max was there for every milestone, through the happy times and the tough ones. But now, Jack was facing something no one could fix. His health had been declining rapidly, and doctors had told him that there was nothing more they could do. The days had grown shorter, and the weight of the situation seemed heavier with every passing hour. The hospital room felt colder as his family whispered their goodbyes, and Jack's spirit grew weaker with each breath. Yet, through it all, one thing remained constant. Max, Jack's loyal companion, was always by his side, even if only in spirit. Max had always been an intuitive dog. He could sense things before they happened, and this was no different. Even though Jack hadn't been able to tell him in words, Max knew something was wrong. For the past few days, he'd been restless, pacing around the house, his eyes never leaving Jack. Something deep within his loyal heart told him his best friend was in trouble. It was late in the evening when Max took matters into his own paws. Jack's family had left for the night, and the house was quiet, except for the sound of Max's paws softly patting against the floor. With a determined look in his eyes, he walked toward the door. It was almost as if he had made up his mind. The hospital was miles away, but that didn't matter to Max. He squeezed through the gate, pushed through the yard, and set off into the night. His heart led the way, each step more urgent than the last. Along the way, he faced obstacles, a busy road, a couple of strangers, but nothing could stop him. His mission was clear: get to Jack. As Max made his way through the dark streets, his pace never slowed. There was no time to waste. His best friend needed him. When Max arrived at the hospital, the night had already fallen into an eerie stillness. He stood at the entrance, panting softly, his eyes darting around, searching for any sign of Jack. His paws were aching from the long journey, but there was no time to rest. He had come too far, and his best friend was inside. Max nudged the door with his nose, just enough to push it open. It was almost as if he knew exactly where to go, his instincts guiding him through the sterile halls. The sounds of beeping machines and hushed conversations filled the air, but Max's focus never wavered. He moved swiftly, his tail stiff with anticipation, until he reached Jack's room. Inside, Jack lay in his hospital bed, his eyes half closed, connected to machines that monitored his fading heartbeat. His family had gone for the night, leaving him alone, the quiet of the room surrounding him like a cold blanket. But just as Jack was about to drift off, something shifted in the air. He heard it, soft, familiar padding against the floor. Then he felt it. Max was there, standing at the edge of the bed, his brown eyes locked with Jack's. For a moment, neither moved, neither said a word. But in that silence, everything was said. The love, the trust, the bond that had carried them through so many years. Max didn't bark, didn't whimper. He simply climbed onto the bed, curling up beside Jack, his head resting gently on the man's chest. Jack smiled weakly, a tear slipping from his eye as he gently ran his hand through Max's fur. The warmth of the dog's presence filled the room, a comfort beyond words. For the first time in days, Jack felt peace. Max had come, and in that moment, everything felt right. As Max lay beside Jack, the atmosphere in the room shifted. It wasn't just the familiar comfort of a dog lying next to his owner. It was something more, something beyond ordinary. Jack, though weak, could feel the dog's heartbeat, steady and strong against his own fading pulse. The room, once filled with the sterile cold of a hospital, now seemed to radiate warmth, as though Max's presence was changing the very air. Jack's hand moved slowly, trembling, but he managed to stroke Max's fur. He could feel the softness beneath his fingertips, the life still present in the dog's body, and for a moment, it made him feel alive too. It was as though the bond between them was reaching beyond the physical world, as if Max's loyalty and love were fueling something more than just memories. Then, something happened, something that no one in the room could explain. It was subtle at first, like a faint whisper of wind that no one noticed, but the energy in the room began to intensify. Max, who had been lying so still, suddenly lifted his head and looked directly into Jack's eyes. There was something profound in his gaze, something that seemed to say, "It's not time yet." Jack felt a rush of warmth flooding through his body, a sensation so vivid and unexpected that it made his chest tighten. He had been slipping away, the light in his life slowly dimming. But now, in the presence of Max, he felt a spark. He could feel strength returning to his body, not fully, but enough to sit up. He gasped for air, surprised by the sudden surge of energy, but it wasn't just the physical change, it was an emotional awakening. Jack, though frail, realized this moment was something deeper. Max's love wasn't just a comfort, it was life. The room was silent except for the soft beeping of the machines. The nurses, who had been in and out of the room, noticed the change, but none dared speak of it. They saw Jack's sudden shift, his breathing less labored, his expression brighter. There was no scientific explanation for what had happened, but they all knew something extraordinary had just unfolded. Max remained at Jack's side, his eyes never leaving him. It was as if the dog knew exactly what his owner needed, a sign, a spark, a moment of hope. And in that single, quiet moment, Jack wasn't alone anymore. He had been given a second chance, or at least the peace to face what was to come, with the one creature who had loved him unconditionally. As the hours passed, the room grew quieter. Jack had found peace in Max's presence, but deep down, he knew the time had come. His body was tired, and the warmth Max had brought to the room couldn't shield him from what he had to face. His breath grew shallow, but his hand remained on Max's fur, feeling the gentle rise and fall of the dog's chest. Max seemed to sense it too. His tail, which had been wagging weakly earlier, now lay still. He gazed up at Jack, as if understanding the finality of the moment. Jack's eyes, once filled with fear and uncertainty, now held a quiet acceptance. He smiled at Max, his hand gently stroking his head. "Thank you, buddy," Jack whispered, his voice barely a breath. Max licked Jack's hand, a soft gesture of love. And in that final moment, Jack closed his eyes, feeling as if he were surrounded by love, not fear. The doctors and nurses came in shortly after, finding Jack peacefully asleep, with Max curled up at his side. They couldn't explain what had happened. They had seen patients leave this world in every possible way, but never like this. Jack's family, when they returned, found them in the same position, Max still by his side, loyal until the end. In the days that followed, the story of Max's devotion spread through the town, touching hearts in ways no one could have imagined. People were moved by the extraordinary bond between man and dog, a love so pure it defied all expectations.